first you find your center, which is your spiritual inner peace and connection. But the next thing is, how do you put that into action, and what kind of actions express this flow? This flow is like when you put the peace into action. And so there are personalities around that. And the first question is extrovert or introvert. So extroverts would be happy to spend their time talking to people all day long. And then they would get up the next day and talk to people again all day long. And, you know, a real extrovert would spend their day as a counselor talking to people, and then they would get home and get on Facebook so that they can talk to people some more, you know. It's like talking is what you do. You might spend some time doing things that are not talking, working on yourself, all of that kind of stuff. But it's not because that's easy and natural and fun. It's because you need to do it. What's easy and energizes you is the talking. Whereas introverts are ones who what energizes you is predictability. You go, I know what's going to happen today. I have it all planned out, and I can organize things, and nobody is going to mess this up. The extrovert is the opposite. Is I have no idea what's going to happen today. There's going to be interesting people, new things, something wonderful is going to happen, and isn't that great? So they both have that opposite thing.
Yeah.
Do you see where you fit in that?
I actually feel like I'm in between.
Yeah, some people are. And then the other question is between creativity and sensing, creative and sensing, intuitive and sensing, or creative and practical. So a creative is, I can see this vision of the future. If I'm going to grow a garden, then I would be able to map out exactly what's going to be in every part of the garden, draw it, design it, and it's going to take 100 years for it to look like that, because the trees are going to have to grow and that kind of thing. The sensing person says, okay, we're going to grow a garden. Where are the tomato seeds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be me.
Yeah.
But,
so, yeah.
I still, I mean, I do sit in my garden and I'm going,
yeah, so it's not that you don't do the others. The point is, there is one, like, we can do all of these different approaches, but there is something that you can do easily and energetically, and it doesn't tire you out. So it's like possible for you to do that day in, day out, and to just keep rolling on it. Where the creative thing might be something that we do sometimes, but then you get back into your flow of let's just do something practical.
Let's just go with the flow.
Or let's just go with the flow. Yeah.
So planned.
Sensing is about this practicality, is also about timing. It's about knowing exactly what's the right thing to do in this moment, rather than what's the right.
Rather than planning it, yeah.
So the creative knows what should be done. The sensing knows when it should be done. Yeah. And
beautiful.
The creative will go out in the helicopter and see the whole map of the streets laid out, and they can see the whole city plan. The sensing can walk down the street and meet somebody and have a conversation with them, read the street signs, go inside the shop, which the creative can't do because they're looking at the
bigger plan.
So they each have their role.
Yeah.
But the sensing ambivert, which was probably you, is the classic healer personality type.
Yeah.
They tend to be doctors, nurses, healers, whatever. But they're also shopkeepers.
Excuse me.
Because it's about service. How can I serve you? It's also that's what you say when you're running a shop. You know, how can I help you?
Yeah.
And it's the same when you're being a waiter. How can I help you? So it's this service-oriented mindset. Does this sound right to you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So
Excuse me, sorry, something's
yeah.
going on in my throat chakra there.
Yeah, something's going on.
Quite significant.
Yeah. So the service. Do you think there's something to say or something not to say?
It's almost like you're saying it for me.
Yeah, right. So the service, it's also, like I said, it's also shopkeepers do this service. And the business flow that people who are good at service is about buying and selling. And so successful servers are the ones who run a shop. And so thinking of your business like a shop would be probably a way to make it really successful. And so then that means that you think of, if it's an online shop, well, you have to have a series of different products, and those products are your services, but they can also be other people's services, or they can be products, essences, herbs, whatever other things that can be useful to people. And so running it like a shop is a way that's likely to be effective for you. Whereas for me, it's like, I'm terrible at running shops.
Right. I was great in retail.
Yeah. And so these ideas about marketing, just they also can be appropriate. A lot of the common ideas of marketing can be quite appropriate to running a shop, because you think of it like that way, and quite works. Whereas I have to use techniques that an actor would use.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, I have to do things like
self-promotion,
get my profile out there, get myself known, schmooze, meet the important high-profile people, have interviews with them. This kind of thing. It's a completely.
But that's what I want.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I would actually prefer.
You would prefer, and that's the thing, is that there does seem to be a thing of what's our flow, and then there's what's our meaning. What do we find that we're interested in, which is slightly different to what we're actually good at. And so I'm very interested in networking. I really like to put together groups and teams. But if I set myself up as a standard networker, that I'm just doing that, then I kind of get frustrated and bored because I want to talk. Yeah. So I have to do it in a charismatic way. I can do a charismatic thing and say, okay, and let's put the network together. So you could be doing this kind of stuff, this kind of talking. But if that's not your flow, then you have to make sure that you're bringing your flow into it, that you're doing your service in it. So for example, say you were going to do a interview with somebody. Instead of just doing an interview, how about you do a mini session, a counseling session with that person on interview, and you're focusing on serving them, and then people get to see how your service is operating, and so then your service is still operating through that.
And I was doing online readings on a radio network. Yeah,
exactly, that kind of thing.
I loved it. And I didn't know who I was going to get on the phone.
But you just get to serve and see what happens.
So
I reckon that'd be a really cool promotion to just do, like, do you want to be on my show? I'm going to do a reading for you, and it's going to be public. Everyone's going to find out about it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that sort of thing. Mm.
Yeah. So
And
that,
also
yeah.
the ask, ask auntie, that kind of thing where
All
people
right.
ring in.
Ask questions. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I've got a problem with such and such, don't know what to do about it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and approach it that way. Mm.
That's really cool.
Mm.
Yeah. So I've found these are the first two steps of successful business is your
Mm.
center, which your center, that's no problem, and your flow,
Mm.
which but not consciously. Like
Mm.
you're doing it, but it would be good to
Yeah,
really embrace
to
that,
know it.
and
Yeah.
to know
So
that. Yeah.
how did you come to know these things?
The flow,
What
the
you
center
studied
is
or?
the centering thing is my own research, and is like it's like there's decades of work in that.
Mm.
If I can tell you the story, but the flow was actually something that I studied.
Right.
Its most popular expression is Roger Hamilton's wealth dynamics at the moment.
Oh, okay.
But you do
Okay.
find it in many different ways. It's an expression that's not unique to that at all.
Uh-huh.
It's the same personality system that Carl Jung was using. It's the same
Okay.
system as the I Ching. It's the same system as many other business personality typing systems as well. But
Oh, okay.
the most popular and well expressed version of it that I've found is wealth dynamics.
Mm.
And that's interesting because Roger Hamilton came from a very achiever, success-oriented, money-oriented perspective. But when you listen to him talk, his theories and his ways of doing things are becoming more and more conscious and spiritual.
Mm.
He actually said at one stage he was talking to someone who was a spiritual healer and about how they sell themselves, and
Uh-huh.
and she was talking about the spiritual energies and blah blah blah, and he said, "Look, I talk about flow, trust, and these business concepts. This is energy. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the spiritual energies, but I don't call it energies. I call it flow and trust,
Yeah.
and passion and things like this." So he's very conscious that he's actually working in this field, but he's come
Mm-hmm.
to it from making money rather than from some other direction. So it's kind of interesting
Yeah, right.
to see somebody who's come from the opposite place and kind of
Mm-hmm.
beginning to connect to the
Yeah.
conscious world. Yeah, so the centering